Welcome back to Introduction to iOS Application Development at SSFS. In the last video, we implemented the random functionality that would allow a user to randomly choose a planet destination. But we found that if the array of planets was empty, our program would crash. So we need to find some way to code for that not to happen. From a user experience perspective, anytime a program crashes, that's very, very bad. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we can do that. And we're actually going to use a property of an array called isEmpty that's going to check to see if our array is empty. So we're going to go to our planetary system class, and notice we have two properties. We have a name and planets. Those properties are called stored properties because we're just storing information into them. We're going to create something called a computed property, which is going to, when the class is created, it's going to compute a value and then assign some information based on that computation. So let's go ahead and add that computed property to our class. So I'm going to put it under our initialization method. I'm going to say var random planet, okay, of type planet, but I'm going to put a question mark after the planet. And again, I'm going to talk about what that means in a little bit. So let's add our curly braces. I'm going to add an if statement. If planets, which is our array of planets, is empty. So if that value is true, if our planets is empty, we're going to return nil. And nil is a special command that says, it basically means nothing. That object is empty, there's nothing there, it is nil. It doesn't really exist. Otherwise, we're going to let index equal, and this is going to be our same random function, arc for random underscore uniform UI int 32. And instead of using an upper bound variable, we can just use the planet counts, since we know it's going to have members, because if it didn't, it wouldn't have gotten to this part of the else system. Planets.count. So now this is going to return a random number between 0 and however many planets are in there. I need one more parentheses. And then we're going to return the planet. So this index is going to pick a number between 0 and the number of planets. And then using array subscripting, it's going to return that planet in the array. So let's go back to this question mark for a second. Putting this question mark makes planet type, or the random planet, a type optional. An optional is a special Swift concept, which means that a variable can have only two basically options. It can either be nil or it has some sort of value. So we're going to use this random planet computed property to test to see if our array of planets is empty, and if it is, we're going to return nil. If it's not, we're going to actually return a planet object to whatever calls this random planet. So basically whatever is implementing a planetary system, we'll call this random planet property. And it's either going to be nil or a planet. That's why we use an optional, one of two options. So let's go back to our SpaceAdventure. So I'm going to hit Command 1, SpaceAdventure. And I'm going to the determine destination here. And I'm going to put the decision equals y. I'm going to get rid of these two statements. And I'm going to say if let planet equal planetary system dot random planet visit planet dot name. And then I'm going to get rid of, sorry, should have gotten rid of that line too. So let's see what this looks like. Okay, this is called optional binding. So if let planet equals planetary system.random planet. So this calls the random planet computed property and assigns the value to planet. And remember, since it's an optional, it's going to return either nil or a planet. If it is nil, this does not get executed. It just gets skipped. If it actually returns a planet, then we call the visit method using that planets.name property. Okay? So we'll add an else, print, sorry, but there are no planets to visit in this system. So in this case, if our array is empty, we'll just get a message saying there's no planets to visit, which is much better than crashing. So let's go ahead and run this. Let's go ahead and put in my name. I'll put yes, and it says, sorry, but there are no planets to visit. But it seems kind of a shame that we still had to pick yes or no, even though there was no planets to visit. From a user perspective, it would be nice not to even be given that choice if there were no planets at all. So we're going to go to the top and let's go back to our start function. And we're only going to determine destination if we have planets in the array. So let's do a quick check for that. So I can say if not planetary system dot planets dot is empty. So that checks to see if the planetary system is empty, and if it's not empty, then we'll run this code. We'll print let's go on adventure, and then we'll determine the destination. So let's go ahead and run this to see what that does. Put in my name, and notice it doesn't even give me the option to explore a planet because there are no planets. So this code right here only executes if there are planets in the array. If not, the program just ends. So now it's much more functional for a user. They don't get the choice if there's no choice options available. So let's go ahead and I'm going to uncomment out our code. I just hit Command/, and now let's go ahead and run this again. Put in my name. Yes, let's randomly choose. Arrived at Mercury. Let's run it one more time. Yes, arrived at Venus. So it looks like our code is working correctly. So now we've really improved our program from a user experience. We've allowed the user to pick a planet randomly or type in a destination they want. So it's really coming along. However, we do have a lot of extra code that we can kind of try to clean up a little bit, which we'll do on our next two videos.